Okay, go back a little bit. Okay, right there. Okay, try that. There you go. There we go. My friend brought his 03 Cobra over so we could put a new clutch cable, firewall adjuster, and quadrant in. He bought a Steeda setup, and he wanted to do this because the transmission is a little notchy, a little hard to get into third gear sometimes. He'll miss third gear, which is common on the Cobras. But I didn't think it was the cable or the quadrant or anything like that, and I told him that more likely it's the throwout bearing or just the fact that the T56 is notchy, because they all are. And, you know, I've had these problems before, and I tried changing out the cable, and it didn't help, and it ended up being a bad throwout bearing on my car that was locking me out of gear and stuff. But anyway, he decided that he wanted to buy these parts and bring them over, and we'd install them. And so we actually noticed that the car actually had a adjustable cable on it already. And so we'll see some things and a little surprise about the clutch fork and the pressure plate and stuff when we get to it underneath here that we weren't expecting. And so we'll show you that in a second here. But basically, here are the parts he got. It was a Steeda cable, and that's the quadrant, and here's the firewall adjuster. And so basically you have to cut this piece off of the new cable, because that would be used with a stock firewall adjuster, and then you have to just shave off these little ears. So I had to cut those off just to get that rubber grommet off in the first place, but now with that off, the new Steeda piece will slide right on. Now I have the same firewall adjuster on my Bullet and on my orange Cobra. So basically we got that all prepped, and then we got the car up and just backed the nut off of that adjustable cable that was already on there, and it wasn't on there very far. That nut was about to come off anyway. And so then you come up here on the frame of the car, and there's a bracket with a 8 or a 10, I think it's a 10 millimeter bolt that you take off to get that bracket loose. And I tried to show it down there. I know it's hard to see, but there's the metal bracket right there moving. And so when that's loose, then, and it's unhooked on the clutch fork side and under the dash, you can pull the whole cable out. So that's what the bracket looks like. There's the new one. And so we went ahead and did that. Now, then we're going to have to come in here and, like I said, unhook the clutch cable from this factory quadrant. And I know it's a little hard to see. I'll turn on the light in a second here, but it's up in here, and that's just the tip of the cable. And so you can, when it's disconnected down below, it's easier to unhook it from this quadrant. And so, you know, it was kind of tight on there, but I got it off eventually. So here I got some light, and you can see I just kind of grabbed the cable and moved it around, and it was kind of dug in there. And so it was a little tight, and it kind of popped loose once I got to it. So basically, this will like fall off on the new one pretty easily, and then you'll get down below and try to hook it to the clutch fork side, and this will come undone, and you know, sometimes it's annoying. But anyway, there we go. And this cable looks like it's in pretty good shape. Sometimes they're fraying, and some people catch them right as they're fraying and they're on their last few threads. So here's the stockish style piece. There's no adjuster, so we just unbolted it with the factory little 5 millimeter and pulled it out. Now looking up underneath here, this is the clutch pedal, and if you see over on this side is where the stock quadrant is, that plastic piece and spring. There's 2 little clips here that you have to push up like cotter pins right there, one on the front and one on the back. And so you just get a pair of pliers and yank those up out, or a screwdriver. And so that's what they look like off. And so it was, you know, kind of a hassle to get those out. And then you have to unwind the spring. And I actually did transfer this over to another car once when I did it before without breaking it. Sometimes they break when you take them out, but this one didn't break. But we were able to unhook everything. and then, you know, slide it off, and then this other piece here has to come off too with the spring. So I got both of those off. There's both of those springs. And here's the new piece, and then you got to drive it in. It comes with a self-tapper. There's 2 holes here on the car. The lower one might not have been there before. I can't remember, but it only came with 1. So then this is where things got crazy. The clutch fork was jammed all the way back. It was hitting the case. I couldn't get it to go forward or back. It should have been somewhere in the center there. It should have had adjustability. It should be able to move freely, and then you put the cable in and adjust the nut snug. And he said he believes it's a Ford Performance clutch in there with a pressure plate, and it kind of seems like the pivot ball stud is wrong, the length on it, because this clutch fork, like I said, should be somewhere centered in this window of operation. And you should be able to move it back and forth, and then move that clutch fork forward till it touches the diaphragm fingers, and then snug the nut down so it has a little preload, but it's not like too tight. But in this case, it's so far back that it's hitting the case, and it has preload on it. So I can push it forward, and it continues to push the diaphragm fingers in, but it's not where it should be. So it has a bunch of preload on it anyway. But with the adjustable firewall and cable, we did get it to have the clutch release a little higher, which is what he wanted, because he felt like if he could push the clutch in and it would release sooner as he was pushing it in, that he wouldn't miss 3rd gear as easily, that it wouldn't lock him out. And I've never had a problem getting locked out. It's been a really notchy transmission. I've run this car at the racetrack, and I haven't missed gears with it, but it is kind of hard to get it into 3rd gear on this car. The transmissions, the T56s on these Cobras, are known for being like that unless you get a Magnum. But anyway, you'll see here in the video, we have it snugged down, we have it all ready to go, and we lifted up the back of the car, and I had him slowly release the clutch until we could see when the wheels start spinning and know how far off the floor it really is when it grabs. But then I noticed that the geometry with having the car raised like that and the wheels sagging made it so that the tire was rubbing the subframe bolt, even though it's been modified and shaved down. Those wide 10.5-inch wide wheels in 315s were rubbing on that low profile bolt. So I immediately had them stop so it wouldn't chew into the sidewall. So that's what's going on here. Okay, there. That's where it engages. Okay, but you know what? We can't do this. The tire's rubbing on the subframe bolt. That's releasing a little higher now.
It is higher, right?
Yeah, that's how you wanted it, right?
Well, yeah, shift
We went out and I pounded gears in the rain and everything, sliding around on drag radials, but I was able to shift pretty well. But then he wanted to adjust the MGW shifter, and we put it in a position where it was a lot easier and more of a straight shot of shifting. So here's us going out and practicing that. I wish I would have recorded the other pulls, but here's a couple. but I feel like it's a straighter shot at it. You want to try it?
Yeah. You do? Is it better the way now, or was it when we had moved this handle the other way?
I think it's better with the handle where it is.
Seems like it went in better.
I think it's a straighter shot.
I'm gonna go around it.
Yeah. Man, that pulls hard.
Huh?
That pulls hard. When you're in the passenger seat, you get kind of dizzy. There you go. So that's a lot better than it was. These T56 transmissions are known for being a little notchy, sometimes missing gears and stuff with them. Third gear is kind of hard to reach, and sometimes you get locked out of it. He was just kind of concerned about how notchy the transmission is, and I think the MGW is a little harder to shift like that. Everybody loves the MGW and raves about it, but I've had Steeda triaxes, I've had Pro 5.0 with a Steeda handle, which is my favorite combination. I have that on both my Orange Cobra and my Bullet, and even though they're a T56 and a TR3650 5-speed, so they're different transmissions, but those same shifters, and I prefer that the most. I have a Steeda triax on my Blue Mach 1 and on my red Terminator, and I've had an MGW before on one of my GTs, and I've just had a whole bunch of different shifters and combinations, but it does seem like the MGW is just a little bit harder to shift with, and I know everybody loves them and says they're the best on the market, and you can adjust them to where you want them and things like that. And I believe my brother has an MGW on his Cobra, but it's not as hard to shift. So I don't know if it's the synchros in this transmission. They shift fine and everything. It's just, it is a little harder to get it in gear. It's just really firm. So it's not like it grinds or has any problems. But anyway, that was basically what he wanted to do, was try to get to the bottom of that and add these different pieces. And so this wasn't like an install video, but it kind of showed a lot of the process, and there's some good videos out there if you want to see exactly how to do it. But basically, it's just kind of an update on the Mineral Gray 03 Cobra, what we did with it, had some fun, went and drove it around, and, you know, I've raced it at the track, like I said earlier. I hit all the gears right and everything, but I was having belt slip, we ultimately found out, and I changed the belt. It had a way too big supercharger belt on it, and so we were having slip up top, and I was watching it just slip at the track, and that was really killing the time, plus the wheel hop. I couldn't get a good hard launch out of it, and so anyway, but it's a fun car, and it pulls really good, and it drives really good, and so I really like this car a lot. So just kind of a fun little update, just kind of what we did today. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.